we're seeing happening with steel companies' plans to look to the transition towards green steel is very much focusing on the utilisation of existing technology. This is what we're seeing in Europe, who are the leaders in the transition at this stage. Most of the plans there revolve around the partial replacement of blast furnaces with DRI technology. Initially, these will mostly use natural gas, which, despite sounding bad, actually still results in a decrease in carbon emissions of up to 50% compared to traditional blast furnace steelmaking. One of the reasons for this is that there is simply not the availability of green hydrogen yet to complete the transition. So as we look at what steel companies are doing going forwards, is they'll end up using a mix of technologies. DRI will be part of the mix. We'll still see some blast furnaces exist. These will have to use carbon capture in order to be able to abate their emissions. And a lot of the carbon capture is looking at circular carbon, where they'll capture this carbon and rather than storing it, use it as part of a feedstock for the chemical industry, which they expect to return back to be used later on in the production of coke. Hydrogen is potentially going to play a very large role in the transition towards green steel, but most of that is going to be some time away. One of the key issues we have with the use of hydrogen in the production of green steel is simply the amount of energy that it's going to take to produce enough hydrogen. Typically, we'll need more than 1 gigawatt of variable renewables in order to make sufficient hydrogen to make 1 million tonnes of DRI. As it is at the moment, we simply do not have enough renewables in the grid to be able to sustain this level of DRI. So what we are seeing is that you'll see over time, steel companies will inject supplemental green hydrogen into their existing DRI technologies, and over time transition to the point where they achieve 100% green hydrogen. The one exception to this is what we're seeing happening in Scandinavia. There's a reason for this. This is simply because they are able to use the significant hydro resources to essentially make baseload hydrogen, which will give them volumes of hydrogen that you're not going to be able to see in the rest of continental Europe. So what we see in Scandinavia now is potentially what we'll see in the rest of Europe in 10 to 15 years' time, and what we'll see then move to the rest of the world as carbon pricing becomes a significant part of the steel sector. The reconstruction of Ukraine provides significant opportunities for the world to build a green metallics powerhouse. Prior to the conflict, Ukraine was both a significant producer of pellets as well as a significant producer of pig iron. In the most recent normal years in Ukraine, we saw exports of 10 million tonnes of iron ore pellets and 2.5 to 3 million tonnes of pig iron. Pig iron is important because it allows EAF facilities, particularly in Italy and the US, to be able to make high quality steels while still using EAF technologies and thus avoiding the need to build their own blast furnaces. Where the opportunity arrives after the reconstruction as the war ends is the ability for the Ukraine to become the key source of green metallics for the transformation of the European steel sector. With its significant resources of iron ore, and in particular magnetite, which is ideal for making DR grade pellets, we can see this industry start to ramp up. There was already plans underway prior to the conflict for the Ukraine to develop additional iron ore resources to be exported to the world for the use in DRI production. And this is where we will see investment going forward. Additionally, the Ukraine also has significant renewable resources due to the large landmass of both wind and solar. So this could potentially see the development of hydrogen production in the Ukraine, which would then allow it to not just be able to produce pellets for use in DRI facilities in the rest of Europe, but also to make hydrogen to produce green DRI, which can then be sent to other countries to be used in their EAFs and even potentially green pig iron. Australia has significant potential to become a green steel powerhouse, but not in the way that many people see. It is unlikely that Australia will become a significant producer of steel products, as has been suggested, and exporting these to the rest of the world. This is simply because many of the markets where we would export this steel see steel production as a strategic industry that they want to develop themselves. However, these steel industries will still be reliant on significant raw materials. Australia already is the largest producer of iron ore in the world for blast furnaces. Australia also has significant magnetite resources which are ideal for the production of DR grade pellets. So Australia can become a significant producer of DR grade pellets, like what we're seeing planned with Liberty Steel in South Australia, who have for some years now planned on becoming a significant DRI producer, simply because they already produce magnetite and they already have pelletizing facilities. Western Australia has also significant magnetite resources, so we can use our abundant natural gas resources in Western Australia to make pellets, or even move further downstream to produce DRI or HBI, which can be exported to other countries. With our significant renewable resources in Western Australia and the ability to produce significant amounts of hydrogen, we could also see this industry over time become a significant producer of carbon neutral pellets, or even green DRI HBI, and maybe even green pig iron. And this is where Australia has really got the potential to play a role as a green steel powerhouse, but for the supplier of raw materials.